Let's just consider this like a part two of last night's video. And that being simply put, move out of your hometown. That's all I gotta say. I don't really think the opportunities, or me realizing the opportunities life had to offer, really became clear to me until I moved out of my hometown. Now, when I never like lived independently or alone in my hometown. When I made my first move, I moved pretty much the next county over, and I never turned back. You know, I wouldn't say in like high school I really minded being from the area. Like, it wasn't like a place I was proud to be from by any means, but it wasn't like a horrible place by any means. But at the same time, you know, there's just nothing to do. All it was a half blue collar, working class town that all it really had going for it was like, you know, just a few bars. And if you didn't like to drink, there was like nothing to do. And on top of that, if I recall correctly, it was just like a revolving door of like small businesses. And some pretty stupid businesses, I might add. Like, I remember one was like a organic vegan dog treat shop that lasted like 3 months when I was in high school. It was like, you know, I'm all for people wanting success, but that was one of those I had to just stop and think to myself, like, did they really think that that was going to be a good idea? Like, did someone never tell them, like, this is gonna flop? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too hard. But, you know, my aspirations and my wants out of life, this place could not meet. And I have to say, like, on top of that, I really just couldn't imagine just living in one place my whole life. I'm thinking of who I was when I was living there still and who I am today. And I feel like if you threw the person I was into just a normal day for me now, I don't know if I would survive a week. You know, it was really hard to like train myself to have a sense of responsibility, to say the least. And just the plethora of knowledge I've gained just existing other places, just getting that basic knowledge of how to survive and how to get around places and how to safely explore places. And you know, that's like really the best feeling is when you like drop into a completely new place. First day, boom, you drop in, everything's new, you hardly know the streets, you just know like the one long route you got to the place that you got a lease on. And I can't, it's an awesome feeling, at least for me, because I really like to like explore the place I live in, you know, at least the surrounding areas at the very least. So I'm really big into that. Like, I think it's really important to know the area you live in. It's important to know your surroundings, and like, you know, you just never really know when you're gonna need to use that information. Then again, I live in a kind of sort of hood, so on top of that, of course, it just opened a whole new door of like experiences. I found work in places I thought I would never work in before, and fields I never thought I'd work in before. And through that, I networked with people and just, you know, happenstance networking with people. It's just something that all humans do, even on like some of the most introverted humans. We all network, and we find like-minded people or people with shared interests, and we develop relationships around those. I'm not saying you're gonna like make friends in every city you pop up in, and it doesn't even need to be a city. Like if you want to move all the way to like the middle of nowhere, miles away from where you used to live, that's your prerogative. I mean, I'm sure there's still growth to be done there. I am curious what it would be like to live in a bigger city, honestly. Um, like the biggest city I could think of that would be around me would be Chicago, but I don't want to live in Chicago. I love Chicago, don't get me wrong, but I just don't want to live there. Um, but I can always rain check that for like a later date. It's not like, hopefully, there's not more life to live, right? But I really think it helped bring me out of my shell. Every place is different. It opened me to new experiences. Things that were happening here really challenged my perspective, or really, formed or reestablished or reaffirmed stances I had. Like the city I live in now, like last August, they removed all the benches. Well, this city's well known for like a homeless population, and the homeless people would sleep on the benches, and the whole city was torn on it for like a month and a half. And half the people were cheering the city officials on, saying it was a great move. We need to get these people out of here. And the other half were like, these people have no place to go, and the city's not offering them any resources. So that was like the biggest thing. But it's just moments like that, even on like a local level, you really figure out like what's important to you. What do you value in society? And I suppose after you drift around a few places, you kind of start to get an idea of like an area's vibe and its general thought, and you kind of go on those preferences, right? I'm excited to move on with life and even further, you know. And I'm not knocking people who like go and live life and then move back to their hometown years later. If that's your prerogative, I mean, I feel like you went on the journey, right? But me, as far as I see it, like I have no business in my hometown, so I never go back. I just kind of show people sometimes, like, hey, this is where I used to live. I do think eventually someday I'll go back, maybe make a video. But, like, as of now, I really don't have any business out there, so there's no reason to be out there. I'd be, like, going out of my way to get out there. Like, nothing in my routine is in that area. And, yeah, I just kind of plan to keep on going further and further. But, you know, living away from your hometown is a little scary at first, but in the end, it's awesome, especially when you live in, like, a city. I feel like when you're young and doing it, like, you just take the experience. It's another one of those things I wish I would have done right out of the gate once I turned 20. It was just moving out, but I was too scared at the time. So I had to wait later, and it wasn't really until I was like 25 where I felt like I was living by myself established, so, or maybe 26. Anyways, I'm just meandering now. Anyways, move out of your hometown.